everyone. Happy Tales Point Horror Book Club Day. And we're going to be chatting about Krazy for You. Crazy for You. By A. Bates. You didn't expect a little sing-song there. So we're going to be chatting about this crazy book. Hi everyone. Right, just add our special guest in, which is the brilliant Tess. Hi guys. You missed me singing at the start, hopefully. Hopefully Tess will be here in a sec. Here she is. Hi Tess.
Hiya, you're right.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
that's good, thank you.
Good, good. Oh, thank you for joining us. I've been so excited to chat to you.
Yeah,
Um,
no, it's
just
great.
Yeah, just in general, because I'm a fan of your books, and also about this crazy point horror that I made you read.
Yeah,
Sorry.
first point horror I've read since being a kid, and it was a fun reintroduction into the series.
Oh, I'm glad it was a fun one though, because we could have a bit of a giggle about it, definitely. But yeah, thanks to everyone who's joining in. There will be spoilers for Crazy for You right from the get-go, because we've got a lot to discuss with this one. But joining us this month is the brilliant James Tess
Everyone
James-Mack. Well, call you James now, that'll be fine. So Tess is the brilliant author of some YA thrillers, which I've got on my Kindle, so I'll just show them up. So Someone Is Watching You. And also the new one is You Wouldn't Catch Me Dead. I love the cover art on these, they're brilliant. And they basically, You Wouldn't Catch Me Dead. You described it as a camping trip gone murderously wrong, and I love that. I love camping, and a bit of murder.
put the two things together.
Yeah. Um, and I love the facts that you gave us for the spotlight post, which you have a tortoise that's currently in the fridge, I guess hibernating.
Yeah, she'll be coming out tomorrow, the big
Oh,
defrost.
oh, I love that. You were born on your sister's fourth birthday, which I love that. And you have this isn't a funny one, but I just was interested. You have a heart condition caused by too much partying as a teen. Oh,
Yeah, going
oh
out with
dear.
Uber, not a smart move.
Oh, bless you. Oh, and you mentioned you read point horror in your teens, and
Yeah,
so is did
one
you
of
read
those.
a lot?
Not a huge amount. Most of my reading as a teen was, well, a pre-teen, was stealing books off my older sister's bookshelf. So reading a lot of inappropriate books for my age. And yeah, there's some horror ones in there.
Oh wow! Do you remember any of them? Like which ones that you read?
There was one about prom queens getting kind of murdered off one at a time. And there was definitely one about similar stalker vibes one. But I think it was
Mm.
on like a film set because it was she kept coming back to her trailer and finding
Oh
kind
yes, I
of
think I found out which one it was, and I forgot what it was now. But
and me instantly
it was a
forgot.
Nightmares book, fan mail.
Yeah,
I think it
that
was.
was,
Yeah, a
I remember
Nightmares book.
black with like
Yeah.
yellow colours, but I couldn't remember the title.
Yeah, that's it. I've got a few of those nightmares books, so I have to maybe do one because that one is a good one actually. I remember it. Oh dear. Hi Eddie. Um, how do I wave? Sharon saying, "Oh, that must be like the in the comments thing because I can wave." But Kev's book "Crazy for You" reminded me a lot of Fear Street, the Stepsister. Oh, okay. We'll have to have a look at that one. But yeah, let's jump into the chat about the book then. So the tagline for this one was "She used to be dead popular," and I was like, the tagline doesn't make sense.
And that really joins up, like, for a lot of the book I didn't know what it was about,
Yeah.
because it kind of, I thought it was something to do with like this premonition and it's some kind of supernatural thing, and then I was like, oh no, it's a stalker. And that tagline, if I'd have known the tagline, I'd have been even more confused, I think.
Yeah, the tagline didn't because she wasn't really popular, and she kind of just stayed the same, so it didn't really Yeah, I don't know. I suppose they used to date a lot of boys, didn't they? But this one was published in 1996 in the US and in 1997 in the UK. So I would say 97 was the time when I kind of was growing out of point horror. So I don't remember reading this one first time around. So it was, I knew nothing about it going in.
Yeah.
Um, and I kind of loved the dedication at the beginning as well, that A. Bates did, which is just basically to her friendship group, and I kind of liked that. It's
Yeah.
like to those of my own best friends from school who have remained close, and I thought, oh, that's such a sweet little thing, so I went in reading the book thinking, oh, this is going to be a sweet one.
Are there any point
Oh,
horrors?
not really. Oh dear. Kelly's put no one is dead before, during, or after. Yeah, no one's dead in this book. Kirsty's put agree. The tagline was confusing. So confusing. And Sharon's put this was a cracker story. Shelley's put this was my first time reading this one as well, and Kelly said it was the first time reading this title. And I also still can't work out why it's Krazy with the K. There was literally no reason. I think it's because Brett couldn't spell.
Oh, it's quite
But
cool then, isn't it? To kind of like change letters, little bit Z's. I remember I used to call myself Tez with a Z. Cool.
Oh, I like that. Or Shelley with a C, like from Michelle, Shelley with a C. You have to be different. That's what it is, Tess. You have to be different. And I just want to point out as well, before we go into the chat, that there was a lot of trotting, like the characters trotted everywhere, as in like. And I couldn't. Once I saw it, I couldn't unsee it, and I wish I could do a word count on how many times the word trot appeared, because there was like,
I don't
oh, Abby
think
trotted.
I noticed slashing. There was like one paragraph where I think the word slash appeared like 8 times in a single paragraph when the picture of the bed was all slashed up and it was slashed. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh dear.
Well,
But this trotting, I was like, I'm sure Abby does it and Cliff does it, and most of the characters do it. And yeah, Sharon's put like lots of horse emojis, and that's kind of how I imagine it, like trot, trot, trot.
yeah.
Like, yeah,
Un unthrillery word as well. Like there's no urgency if you trot somewhere.
yeah,
So it's kind of
exactly. But
dazzling.
I'm going to use that now, and I'm just going to be like trotting everywhere and taking my time. And Tam's put, yeah, we could have done a drinking game for the word trotting or slashing. Emma's put no find and replace function back then. Yeah, that's true. It just tickled me because once I saw it, I couldn't. I just
Yeah,
laughed every time it came up. So I thought, oh, I'll just
I had
get that out of the way just at the
the word
beginning.
gasp. Yeah, with my first book, it was the word gasp, and my copy editor was like, use the word gasp 250
Whoa!
times. Is that a lot? It was a
It,
lot,
it must be hard though when you're writing. Like, do you find that hard not to reuse words all the time?
especially, when it's a tense book, you're trying to create that feeling of like fear and thrills. There's certain words like gasp, that maybe trot, I don't know, but and slashing, it's hard not to reuse them a lot.
You'll have to try and get the character trotting in your next book, just as a like a homage to point horror.
Yeah.
Oh, Sharon's book, we'd all be drunk in this chat. Yes, we would be. So the story kind of focuses on Abby Grant, I think her surname is, and she's kind of got red hair and green eyes, and her parents have just left her and gone to Hawaii for 3 weeks, as you do. Very
Simpler
random.
times.
Yeah, simpler times. And she's obviously been left in the care of her older stepbrother. What was he older? I think he was older, wasn't he? Older stepbrother Brett. Um, and basically, she believes in exercise. She hates art appreciation class. Works at a health shop called Positive Oats, which I kind of liked. Loves almonds, and basically Abby always has these like premonitions that there's something going to happen, like a dark cloud around her. So, what were your thoughts on Abby? Like, did you like Abby as a character?
She was difficult to like, I think. Um, yeah, I mean, I just found it so hard to kind of follow her reactions to stuff. Like she constantly surprised me, like, oh my, there's someone's put a ladder through my window. I'll sleep in the bathroom. You're right. The yeah, which made it quite a fun read because I was like, what she next? Yeah, I did find it quite hard to relate to her, and obviously then
Yeah.
the kind of that feeling of she was quite critical of people's eating and
Mm,
choices. Imagine she'd be quite hard to be friends with.
yeah. I mean, just going back to that whole sleeping in the bathroom thing, like if you was in danger, would
I
you
know.
really like padlock the bathroom and sleep? I mean, how big was their bathroom?
Yeah,
Because my bathroom's tiny. I wouldn't be able to sleep on the floor.
you have to sleep upright in the shower kind of thing.
Yeah, standing up. But
Um,
and then she kind of lets Brett. Did she padlock it from the inside, or she let Brett padlock it from the outside? I can't remember, but it was a bit.
I know there was talk of just padlocking her room shut. Like
Oh,
that is the room that's the problem.
it was the room that was padlocked. I thought she was padlocked in the bathroom.
I can't remember what they decided on in the end, but yeah, there was definitely like, it's okay, someone's broken into my room, so if I padlock the room shut, that's problem solved.
Yeah,
We won't get to the house, we'll be fine.
but I mean, it doesn't get any better. Like when she gets in more danger, she decides that the best course of action is not to sleep in the house and to like stake out the outside to try and stay awake in the October cold air. I mean, like
Yeah, the police
I didn't
seemed,
understand.
and the police seemed pretty useless. But
Oh,
even she kind of took matters into her own hands, didn't she? But that is that kind of dedication to catching whoever it was without the kind of fear of, of what they could do to her. But it drove the book forward. She was taking action.
yeah, she definitely did. She did like, I mean, the police were pretty rubbish. I think, I mean, at one point, I think they can take fingerprints like quicker than they can nowadays. So it must have been different in the 90s, no. But I think at some point, one of the policemen says, "It sounds like someone isn't happy with you."
Yeah.
That's
Uh,
that's kind of the help that they gave poor Abby,
it's
bless
like,
her.
have you annoyed anyone? Have you fallen out with you?
Yeah,
Like just like
yeah.
it's like she'd received a threatening note. That was the kind of response the police were giving rather than someone actually breaking into her through her window into her bedroom.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, they just didn't seem to care. But we find this in Point Horror. We don't want adults around or police around. But I kind of liked Abby as well for like the fact that she couldn't quite believe that she had this stalker. Like I think at one point she says like, "How dare somebody think it's okay to follow me around and spy on me?" And she kind of thinks she's this nobody
yeah,
and stuff.
yeah.
So I kind of liked her in that respect that she was a bit humble in that respect.
I found
Yeah.
myself really liking her more by the end. Um, what made me decide actually I like her a lot is when she took a pepper grinder as her like weapon of choice. I was like, she's
Yeah.
brilliant.
Yeah, who needs pepper spray? We just need the pepper grinder. So,
Literal pepper.
so literally, I was imagining this like pepper thing, and she'd like if the bad person came, she'd go like
I mean, they described it as a can of pepper, so I guess it is a different thing in the US. But I
yeah, it
could
must be.
reach out with my, just wait there, I'll season you.
Knowing my luck, whenever I try and put pepper on my dinner or something, like it gets stuck. So I'll be like, oh, oh,
Don't
hold
miss.
that thought. Bang, bang, bang.
I think that was my that when she took out the ultimate bad guy by lobbing a protein shake through his windscreen, made the whole nutrition thing come full circle. Because I did spend most of the time like, is this going to become is this just part of her character or is it going to feature in the actual plot? And
Mm.
when that happened, I was like, yes,
Yeah,
it's relevant.
I
And it's done, yeah,
love that. I
that
love
moment.
that. We'll chat more about the ending in a little bit, but I loved that. I thought it was brilliant. I had to reread it again
Yeah,
just because I was
that just
laughing so much. But you mentioned about like Abby and her health, food like obsession essentially. And obviously, I think Lisa from Beef a Book put a post up earlier, and she mentioned like obviously back in the 90s there was a big diet culture kind of thing, and a lot of healthy eating talk was in this book. But obviously, Abby does give reasons for it later on in the book to do with her mom dying of cancer. So she's decided to, try and live cancer free, which I thought was quite
yeah.
emotional, really. But what did you think about the health food angle? It was quite a lot.
Yeah, I remember at the start, I think because I was struggling to understand what the book was actually about, and she had this kind of premonition out of the blue. And then there's lots about the healthy eating. I kept thinking, is this I didn't read the blurb or anything. And I was wondering, there was a Goosebumps book I read when I was a kid about this boy who would only eat like white food. And
Oh,
then I think he got
yeah.
serious or something. And so he'd eat anything. He kind of started eating soil and I vaguely remember it. I remember thinking, is that going to be something, is this some kind of like supernatural thing?
Mm,
Um, and then obviously it wasn't. But then as the book went on, I kind of appreciated that part of her personality more and realized it's a big part of her. And I think someone put in the comments that it is quite ahead of its time. Um,
mm,
Nowadays, we talk a lot more about different diets, not just being for certain reasons, that kind of 90s craze with being as skinny as possible.
mm,
But there's keto and all the different kind of like health food um like paths you can take. So I did
yeah.
actually start quite into it and seeing how it's a big part of her personality that she's very
Mm,
aware of as well. And not many teens would be that self-aware, or people
yeah.
even would be that aware. So I did start thinking, yeah, finding it. I quite enjoyed that aspect of her in the end
Yeah.
once I kind of got used to it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, definitely. At first, I think I messaged Narissa and I was like, oh, there's a lot of like food and health talk, which was unusual for a point horror. But I think as it went on and I learned her reasons why what her motivation was for that and the reasons why she was doing that, I kind of sympathised with them more.
Yeah.
Um, and then with the full circle ending, it was. Mwah.
Yes. Yeah, exactly. Definitely became relevant.
And I did put like a quote up because years ago I did an interview with the author BATES, and I did put a quote up where she kind of said she never really looked at putting like topical issues into the book. She just spoke to her daughters kind of thing and what was relevant at that time. So she used to just write, what was relevant to her daughters or relevant at that time that she thought she could put into her character. And I thought that was quite interesting that she
Yeah.
didn't intentionally do that.
Yeah, definitely. It felt real rather than like a heavy-handed issue, kind of, I want to raise this issue and make a point. It felt more like a realistic character,
Yeah,
completely with flaws and different sides to them. So I'd
yeah,
appreciate it.
yeah, definitely. Um, just going back to the parents, I saw Sharon put typical point horror parents absent. Um, Teddy put classic point horror parents away on holiday. I mean, this was extreme. It was like 3 weeks
Yeah.
away. Stephanie put, oh, looking forward to Tess's next trotting character.
So I have actually got a horsey horror drafted.
Oh, there we go. It's fate.
Yeah, there's actual trotting in that.
A dark switch put parents are always MIA in point horror. Shelley put, yeah, this took absent parents to a new level. Oh dear. Um, Teddy producer put was a big fan of all the free nutrition tips in the book. Yeah, I feel
Yeah.
like I learned a lot.
Yeah. I mean, she was obsessed, but it didn't feel like an unhealthy obsession. She
Mm,
wasn't, she was be healthy. But then by the end, she did kind of realize maybe she could let go in certain areas and still be healthy and enjoy herself a bit as well.
Yeah, that's it. And Sharon put she needs a fries and burger.
Yeah.
She did freak out over that fry when Taylor was like, she was like, "Get it away from me!" Sharon's put she was annoyed, and I was sorry she didn't die. Sharon.
Well, in the interview, that I thought that was really interesting that you spoke to the author and she said that Scholastic were very firm on no death in
Mm,
and no like sex, no swearing, all that kind of stuff. So it was,
yeah.
yeah, it's how much point horror there was that you weren't allowed to feature so many
Mm.
things.
And it does make me. It makes me laugh to a certain extent because I think like Stein used to get away with killing off
Mm.
characters in his point horror, and so there must have been like certain restrictions on maybe the not so well known ones maybe, but yeah, she was obviously given strict orders, you can't kill anyone off.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
don't know how. I don't think I could write a thriller without bumping a few characters.
I know we like a bit of death in our thrillers. Not in real life,
Yeah.
just in fictional world. Kelly put American houses, bathrooms are big enough to sleep in. That's it. Yeah, definitely. I was just thinking, like, how would I sleep in my bathroom, like logistically?
Yeah.
Um, Larissa's put this was a reread, and I totally forgotten about the weird staying outside the house all night. Yeah, yeah. Oh, someone's put, I'm so proud of how far you've come, Tess. Really loving following your author journey. Oh, that's lovely.
The comments, I think I missed that one.
Oh, Kirsty put, yeah, trigger warning, eating disorders. I think she was bordering on, I think anorexia. I think that was meant to say. But yeah, I think it was definitely, definitely an issue.
I
That
was
was
thinking about
that she was going through.
obviously in the interview said she's not allowed to include certain topics that say we could include nowadays. But thinking of this book, I think it would have had more trigger warnings than any of those now
Mm,
because of the disordered eating and the the forgiving your stalker kind of element at the end.
mm,
But
yeah.
yeah, I think that wouldn't have got through nowadays. I think an editor would have been
Mm.
messaging here is
Oh, that's interesting. So it wouldn't have got through. You don't think, like, for like
uh,
those particular things?
yeah, that kind of, I know he's got thousands of pictures of you that he's taken whilst you're without your consent
Mm,
and stuck all over his room. Take it, all that dodgy stuff her stalker had done, but
yeah.
he's all right because he cares about you, sort of thing. So,
So yeah, we'll have a chat about Joey. Oh dear. I'll just catch up on the comments. So the sleeping arrangements were crazy. Sharon's putting locks on the door was weird. Um, yeah, that's the comment you saw about it being ahead of its time from Kelly. Um, locks on the door definitely flagged who was behind it. Oh, so that's interesting. So, like, did you suspect who it was, Tess?
I did because it was such a closed cast. It was only a handful of people it could have been, and I have to admit, where I suspected who it was, but for completely different reasons.
Mm,
Because he was so nice and so protective, and almost too nice for like a brother. You kind of think
mm,
this would be a bit like there should be a few issues between them. So I thought it was him because he had a thing for her,
mm.
which is I was reading it thinking, oh God, where's this gonna go?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So I was surprised by it was just, when it was found out to be him, he was just like, I hate you. I wish you'd drowned when we were children.
He was so harsh. I was like, whoa. And she's like, you taught me to play baseball. And he was like, yeah, I was hoping that I could hit it in your face or something. I'm like, whoa.
Yeah, apart from the protein shake through the window, that was my favourite moment, I think, when he was just like ruining all her childhood memories.
You can just imagine Abby standing there like, but what about
Yeah.
this? And he's like, no. Oh, dear. I think that was one of my favourite moments. I was laughing so much at his reasonings. But I think, like Kelly, as soon as the thing with the the sleeping in the bathroom scenario and stuff. I thought it's him, like straight away. I thought it's
Yeah,
definitely Brett.
definitely. And he was the only
Yeah.
one that she didn't suspect. Like, and he was that kind of stereotype of, the perfect boyfriend, which is
Mm.
usually the one who you should suspect. But because he was so perfect and she
Oh,
didn't want to consider him, I was like, oh, it kind of has to be him, doesn't
yeah, definitely. Um, Kev's put the fact that Brett slept outside too is crazy with a capital K.
it?
Yeah. And fell asleep. Yeah, Brett fell asleep.
Yeah,
Well, of course he'd fall asleep because he was like, there's no threat. Let's just
yeah.
let Abby like have a sleepless
Yeah.
night and I'll just
He's
have
just
a
in his
nice
sleep,
little sleep.
pissed off. Just
Teddy's put the reason why Abby focused on healthy food made me a little emotional. Yeah, you could really understand her more, definitely. And I'm so glad that A Bates did put that in the reasons why
mm,
she was like the way that she was.
yeah,
Um, I think it was a good call putting that in.
definitely.
Um,
Yeah,
Eddie's video put Brett had so many opportunities to just be done with Abby, but no, he had to make it difficult for himself. I mean, he could have easily blamed it on Joey.
yeah,
Ah,
mm,
he really
yeah.
could have. He
Yeah,
didn't have
like the
to
first
go to
mistake.
all that effort.
She could have been gone. But
Mm.
it's the whole thriller premise. You want the killer always has to want the kind of victim to suffer a bit before the final act. Otherwise,
Yeah.
there's no book. So,
Yeah, they just he had to put in so much effort to
yeah,
do what he wanted to do. I just was like,
yeah,
was it
yeah.
worth it? Oh dear. And then Eddie's put, but then again, he spelled crazy with a K. Lol. A few people laughing at our pepper grinder, and Nikki put that the closest I've got is salt. I mean, that would work. That would stink.
Yeah, and that's like the main weapon in a lot of paranormal books, isn't it? So why not
Yeah.
pepper? It's
Yeah.
neglected, isn't it?
That's it. Sharon said it got me craving a burger while she was eating it, while she was reading it. Oh dear, I'm thinking of food now. Um, um, Scott said it did give Abby a bit more depth than other point horror characters. Yeah, that's true. Yeah. No pizza
It's
place in this point horror either.
it has made me want to read more point horrors. Um, yeah, it's there's something really, you can kind of laugh about it, but I do think there's something like to get that fun back. You kind of want to laugh and be thrilled at the same time,
Yeah.
and I like how in this one it was kind of I was laughing out loud quite a lot, but still.
Oh dear. I kept trying to think like if I read it as a teen, like what would I think? Like would I have
Yeah,
laughed so much or would I have been like, oh, he was Brett? Like but I think
yeah,
teen me, I was quite probably a bit naive when it came to like I mean I'm still like it now. I never guess the right killer in when I read books. I'm just useless. But yeah, I think teen me would have been a bit like oh like shocked.
yeah, definitely. And I
Yeah.
always liked that, kind of stalker element that,
Yeah.
yeah, it was, yeah, definitely a draw as a
Yeah.
teenager. I think
Same.
it's quite dramatic, isn't it? And I think when you're a teenager, you do see yourself as the main character. So to think, there's another person seeing you as a main character, it makes it quite
Yeah.
thrilling. Obviously, in reality, it's horrific, and it's not something that should be kind of glamorized, but
No.
as a book, it's very gripping.
Yeah, yeah. It's that whole thing, isn't it? Like, when you came out, the TV show, and everyone was like,
Yeah.
oh, he's so hot. And then, like, people are like, well, essentially, he's a stalker. Like, you shouldn't find him hot. Like, it's like that old thing, isn't it?
Yeah.
Oh, dear. Um, Eddie's video put, I do relate to Abby in that respect. When I turned vegan, a lot of people made fun of me and even bullied me. Oh, that's
Yeah.
just cruel. Yeah. Um, just having a little look. I got a little bit behind. Melina's put, I liked the whole you don't know what people are going through aspect. Abby with her eating and Taylor acting strangely because of the friends that she lost. Yeah. What
That
did you make of
was
Taylor?
well, didn't it? So, yeah, Taylor was just kind of opposite to Abby in every way. And then they had that moment where, that thing about, and I don't know if I'd missed it, but I thought that came completely out of the blue, her
Mm.
past tragedy. And that scene was so bizarre to me because she's kind of talking about this huge thing that happened that we had no idea about, her friends all dying. And then she kind of dropped in like, oh, started crying and talking about the date she'd just been on. Um, and then Abby, like, instead of reacting to that, reacts to the fact that she made her favorite popcorn. And it was
Oh
like,
yeah.
can we go back to Taylor for a second? Because something like big is coming out here, and then that just didn't get spoken about again. I did find that quite often in the book that Abby just didn't react in the way I was expecting, which made me kind of
Mm.
constantly thinking, what's going to happen next?
Yeah.
But that whole thing with Taylor, like, I kind of wanted to know more about her because she turned out to be quite
Yeah.
fascinating, and there's obviously a lot going on there, but it was kind of rushed past a bit.
And in a kind of way, I know it sounds cruel, but I kind of wanted her to be the reveal, like that she was just annoyed with Abby. Um, it would
You
have
just
been like fun.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, yeah. It was only when Abby started suspecting Taylor, I was like, oh, it can't be her now.
Yeah, yeah, because she was quite. You saw into Abby's thoughts quite a lot about
Yeah,
suspecting Taylor, but I think that showed their friendship. That the fact that she was even suspecting Taylor, I'm not
yeah, could
sure.
it be? So,
Do you think like Taylor was a good friend to Abby, or Abby was a good friend to Taylor?
I
I'm
think
not sure.
neither of them were very good friends to each other, were they? Yeah,
No, definitely not. And I think at one point I got a couple. I wrote a couple of my favourite Taylor moments down because I did kind of like
yeah,
Taylor. Um,
yeah.
but I think when she tells Abby that Joey's got a crush on her, and Abby's like, "Yeah, I know," she knows all this already. Um, and Taylor goes, "At least he has the good taste to choose you to be obsessed about." And I was like, "That's quite nice." In a weird way. Um, and then Taylor thinks that Abby's just doing everything for attention. That kind of just made me laugh. But my favourite Taylor moment was the puppy.
Yeah. She's like, you
So
don't know who people really are. He said he had a puppy, but it was his
he had
neighbours.
a puppy. But this is accurate, don't lie about having a puppy and then get me to your house and you haven't got a puppy.
Yeah,
Oh dear, she
bonkers
made
though.
me laugh. Yeah, she was like really into him, and then she's like, "You basically lied to me. They were looking after a puppy. You don't know who people are."
Yeah.
Oh, that did make me laugh.
Yeah, there were just a lot of moments like that that were just
Yeah,
slightly bizarre.
that's why I kind of like Taylor because I think she was kind of a little bit over Abby's like health stuff or and things like that. She was a bit over it. um,
Yeah.
Kelly's put Kelly's put the family story reminded me of Trick or Treat, blended family, girl left with stepbrother. Yeah, so in Trick or Treat by Richie Tankersley Cusick, you've got that whole scenario with the stepbrother and stepsister. But if you haven't read it, I won't spoil it.
I feel like the title as well. Then there was one earlier, the stepsister. It's like,
Yeah.
kind of gives away a bit what it might be about.
Yeah. Larissa's put the dad in The Boy Next Door disappeared for 3 weeks too. Crazy parenting. Yeah. Do you find you've got to get rid of the parents when you're writing, Tess?
Yeah. What I tend to do is get rid of the main character to somewhere that the parents aren't, rather than the other way around.
Yeah.
So in my first book, I get my main character stuck in a prison, and in the second, they're off on a school trip. Kind of, so we leave parents behind rather than the parents leaving us.
Oh, that's good. We don't want no parents around. No, not spoiling the teenagers' fun. Kelly's put we should work out which point horror kills off the most people. And Nerissa said, you do, Shelley. The bloodier, the better. Yeah, definitely. I think at the moment, I want to say Beach House by R.L. Stein might have the most, or maybe Prom 8 that we read. I'll have to check. You got me thinking now. Oh, the cat,
Going to
look.
be so long before he made an appearance.
Oh, I know. Normally mine are like scratching at the door trying to get in. Yeah. Oh, apparently earlier when I said anorexia, apparently no, it's orthorexia. I'm sorry if I'm saying that wrong. Is related to healthy eating. Oh, okay. I'm gonna look at what that is because I've not heard of that before. So yeah, that was creepy. Teddy Producer said it felt like she was very forgiving of Joey quite quickly. So we're gonna have to talk about Joey. I'm putting it off too much, but spin off where Joey does go too far with his stalking. So come on then. So Joey. So the actual proper stalker.
Yeah.
So what do we think of Joey and his whole like journey in this book?
Yeah, it wasn't taken as seriously as I think it should have been. She was obviously disturbed by it, but there was very much that underlying theme of it's Joey, he's this kind of harmless like oddball from school. Yeah, not the stuff he was doing. Because the police didn't get involved with Joey, I don't
No.
think. That to me is bizarre, because even if she didn't believe it was him breaking into a house and stuff, call the police.
Yeah.
Clearly there's something going on there.
Yeah.
But I do wonder like what it was like kind of 20 years ago, whenever it was. It was God, yeah, nearly 30 years ago now, is it?
I know. We always like,
God.
and when we say that, we go, "Oh no!" It was only like a couple of years ago.
Yeah. Because I know stalking's often not taken seriously nowadays, so I guess even then it would have been, that kind of always got a crush.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Especially as like a teen as well. Like, they just, perhaps it is reflective that they wouldn't have taken it very seriously.
Yeah.
And
But yeah,
with
moments when I was thinking like, run, Abby, and she was just a bit blasé about it.
Yeah, and it was that moment when they kind of like they go to Joey's house, don't they? And the mum kind of lets them in the house because she makes an excuse, and she goes up to Joey's room, and there's Abby's pictures everywhere, all over the wall. And my first thought was, well, wouldn't the mum like ask what all these pictures are? What does he take them down when his mum knocks on the door?
And when the girl in question turns up at his house,
like
he looks familiar.
Oh, where have I seen your face before? So
and
I was like,
yeah. The bit that made me kind of my jaw drop the most was there was a line right towards the end where she felt bad about the fact that she'd invaded his privacy. And it was like, this is not on you.
No.
Yeah. Yeah,
I was like, Abby, what's happened? Like, why? He needs to be locked up.
Yeah.
He's not going to stop stalking you. He's going to continue.
Yeah. And she was like, it's my fault for, I wouldn't like it if someone came into my room. I didn't like it when they did. It's like, not quite the same.
I mean, he made like, I think there was a reference that in that room he had like one of Abby's sweaters, and he'd made like something look like her on his wall or something next to his bed or something weird. And then there was like a whole calendar of Abby, like the months of the year and stuff. And then he wrote like fan fiction on his Mac.
And I think people in the comments are saying the amount of effort that would have he'd have had to go to in the 90s to do all that. All the Boots trips to print the photos off.
Yeah, like it's just, and where did you get the money from? Like, this is like, maybe the mum was in on it. A case of a parent being too involved.
Yeah. Maybe it's better when they go to Hawaii for pulling periods of time.
But then the thing that made me laugh, I don't know whether this was just a me thing, because I tried to tell my husband earlier, so I was explaining about Joey and his involvement in the book, because as I was writing some notes, I was like chuckling away to myself, and he's like, what's the matter with you? But so I had to explain to him, but then he was a bit like, okay. But like, so the whole ending, so when Joey was put in Abby's clothes, I think, or jumper, and then pushed into the river in the car. And then you've got
Yeah.
that whole Abby rescuing him and pulling him out. I secretly think that Joey pretended to be unconscious the whole time, just so,
Get to get
I
the
know
mouth
it
to
sounds
mouth.
wrong, mouth to mouth. And then at one point, I think the car with Brett in is like trying to run her down, and she
Yeah.
kind of jumps to the side and falls on top of him, on top of Joey, and Joey kind of makes like a sound. And I thought, yeah, you're not unconscious, you're loving this. Creep.
Yeah. Yeah, that was quite, at the end where she's just got this real desperation to save whoever it is. It dives into this freezing cold lake where she
Oh,
could have died herself to save whoever. And then even when she takes breath out, she's instantly running towards the car,
yeah.
being like, I can't let whoever has been trying to kill me die. And it's, yeah. But I quite like that about her because she was a protagonist who really drove the plot, didn't she? She wasn't
Yeah.
passive.
She really did go for it. And like, even though like she could have left Joey in, well, she didn't know who it was till she got him out, but she
Yeah.
could have left him on the side of the river. But she didn't. She did rescue him, but
Yeah.
secretly think that he was pretending to be unconscious, to
That's
be
commitment
honest.
to get a kiss from the girl you're
Yeah,
stalking. To just
yeah.
sit in the car at the bottom of a lake hoping she'll pull you out.
It was just the scene where she like jumped out of the way and she's like, she jumped on top of Joey, and I thought, oh, he's loving this.
Yeah.
No, this is not what I want to read. Oh dear. Teddy put, I thought from the get-go it could be the brother, but couldn't work out what his motive would be. Came as a bit of a shock at the end.
Yeah.
Sharon put, I thought the same, Tess, but like the fact that it was because he loathed her.
Yeah.
Yes, so yeah,
Yeah.
because he
And I
he
like
just
that as a
hated
motive.
her.
Yeah, I just hate you.
Yeah, yeah.
That's it.
Been trying to get rid of you for
Yeah.
years. It hasn't worked, so I had to wait till the parents went off to Hawaii, and then went overboard on my
Yeah.
plan.
This convoluted plan. Yeah, throwing a baseball at your head was too simple. Had to be to go a bit further.
It was the swimming thing when she's like, but you taught me to swim, and he was like, I threw you in. Oh dear, it just made me laugh. So do you think that Brett was a good villain? Like, was he was he good, or was he just useless? What do you think?
Oh, what I mean it's good as in effective as a
Yeah,
villain.
was he like, you know, like was he effective enough as a villain, like to scare Abby and to do what he did, or did he just go a little bit too far?
It was quite random, wasn't it? Like the things he was doing didn't kind of ramp up.
Mm, mm.
'Cause, the ladder through the window. I had to reread that bit quite a few times because I was like, "Is this a storm? Like, what's happened? The ladder's fallen against the window."
Yeah.
I was just really confused by that bit, and then it kind of became the photos in the room, and I think the most disturbing one was the kind of picture of her that was slashed up with her clothes and
Mm.
everything on the bed.
Oh yeah, and the pillow. Yeah, that
Yeah,
was.
yeah, that was probably the most kind of disturbing
Mm,
moment.
mm,
But yeah, it was. I think at the reveal, I would have liked more exchange between them.
mm.
Just more of that, how he tried to kill her as a child and
Yeah,
failed.
I
Give that
needed
one more
more.
chapter. Yeah. And it was so like sudden, and there was no because it was so fast paced. There was no like none of Abby kind of looking at him and thinking how he changed. How his expressions were different. How he didn't seem familiar to her.
Mm,
It was just the loving brother is now suddenly screaming, "I hate you." So it did feel a bit of a bit kind of a shock,
yeah.
kind of a abrupt turn. But then also, I almost think that it's part of the greatness of point horror. That it doesn't have to bother with all that kind of depth. It's just fun.
It is what it is. You might have been, tried to be drowned when you was younger. That's all right. They'll
Yeah,
come and kill you later.
yeah,
Yeah, I just thought with Brett, like, one, it didn't surprise me, and then two,
yeah,
I was like, Yeah, he did go to a lot of effort. I mean, even like the ending. I mean, how much effort he put into
Yeah.
to everything at the end, like making a car break down,
Yeah.
like, and just being lucky as well, finding the bat and the pepper
Yeah.
in there.
I got a bit lost with the whole car thing when he put, I can't remember what it was, like he put in the petrol tank.
Water?
Yeah. But then was driving her car. And that was the most in-depth he went about any of it, that he explained what he'd done to the car and then kind of reversed with the car so that he could drive. I
Yeah,
got a bit lost with that bit, I have to
yeah,
admit.
I didn't think about
Subaru
that with
kind
the car.
of. I was like, I'd like more of that detail about his motives rather than the mechanics of the car and
Yeah.
what he'd done with them.
Maybe he siphoned it out quickly.
Yeah,
He was like, quick, while she's like messing around with Joey,
yeah,
siphon it all out, put the petrol back in,
yeah,
just so he
yeah.
could
I did
use
get
it.
a bit.
Yeah, but he just went so overboard with everything.
Yeah,
But as you mentioned earlier, the genius, like full circle of the nutritional bottle
yeah,
of vitamins or whatever it was being thrown at the
yeah.
window.
Honestly, I would have cheered at that bit.
Yeah, yeah. Because I was thinking, like, I thought it's got to come into play because
Yeah,
she's, carrying this around with her, like,
yeah,
and yeah.
yeah. Because it's a big character point, to have just as an aside
Mm,
and for it to not be
mm,
relevant to the story at all.
yeah.
So when it did, I was like, I'm very satisfied with that.
Yeah, I loved it.
Yeah.
And Larissa, who's in the chat, did like a teen life lesson she does most months, and she drew like the car with the vitamin bottles
Brilliant.
going in. Brilliant, just genius. Kelly put they were trying to push Joey too hard, and then Taylor. So no idea really why Abby and Taylor were friends. They seem to always annoy each other. Yeah. Kev's put her bestie with the knife at the beginning was a good red herring. Yeah. So
So
I
I can't
think,
remember because I started reading this like a month ago, thinking, oh,
yeah.
and then realized I was going to finish it in like 2 nights. So I stopped. So I forgot that bit at the start.
Um, yeah, I think she chopping up some food for Abby or trying to get Abby to have something. Um, I mean, Abby shouldn't cook. I mean, what were those apple muffins that Abby cooked? Like, I didn't understand. It was like low fat apple
Yeah.
sauce or something. And I was a bit like, I couldn't quite picture them because apple muffins that I know are like nice and got lots of sugar in.
Yeah.
But yeah, didn't understand that bit. Larissa said the Say podcast and I have covered a couple and done some cool literary analysis. Oh, I'm not sure what that was about. Yeah, Nikki's put favourite line at the end from Brett. It almost works.
Yeah.
Reminded me of Scooby Doo. Darn
Yeah.
that Abby and her
Silly
meddling
moment.
vitamin. That's so true. It was such a
Yeah.
Scooby Doo reveal. Tony producer said the fat Brett was a stepbrother rather than a biological brother was a giveaway for me. Made me wonder why the author had made the distinction. Yeah, interesting.
Mm.
Nerissa's put it was pretty out of nowhere and I like it could have been its own point horror.
Was that
I'm not sure. I've got
Taylor? I wonder if that was his mum
yeah, Taylor.
telling
Yeah,
him.
so the
Yeah.
Taylor
I'd like to see
story.
more of that. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, especially when
I
she
would have read
was
that.
kind of like, yeah, and she's like, I didn't listen to you when you said you had premonitions because I have premonitions.
Yeah, yeah,
Because everyone in this town having kind of, because yeah, that premonition thing at the start, it was just like a bad feeling, wasn't it?
yeah,
That as it started, she's like, oh, I feel like I've got a bad feeling about today. And then she kept using the
yeah,
word premonition,
yeah.
but she didn't see what was actually going to happen, did she? It was just,
No. So it's
yeah.
just that feeling that she kind of had that something bad was going to
Yeah.
happen.
And then she found like
But
it.
yeah, I think she manifested it. She was like,
Yeah,
yeah,
it's all her fault.
this is the time. Yeah, Sharon said Taylor and Abby were frenemies.
Yeah.
Scream 1996 said I was disappointed that it wasn't Taylor.
Mhm.
Yeah.
She'd have been a
Sharon
good
said
villain.
Taylor
Yeah.
would have been a better reveal.
Yeah.
Heather put the puppy part cracked me up, so random. Yeah. A dark switch said her favourite Taylor quote was, "I've got a life to live and I want it to include boys."
She's real, isn't she?
Yeah. Oh, and Kelly's put Echoes of Nightmare Hall, Deadly Attraction, which we read last September. Yeah, very similar vibes. Marzipan Ponies put, wasn't there one where, so a point horror where everyone died? I feel like at least 5 people. So I always just think of the beach house has just got a lot of death in it. And yeah, we'll have to do a death log for the book club, definitely. I'll have to go through now and have a look, because I'm intrigued now. Yeah, Dark Switch said Joey was far creepier than Brett. Yes, definitely was, 100%. Eddie's, but the whole thing with Joey bothered me. He ended up being sort of like the hero, like you said, Tess. Not the right message for young people. Yeah, that's so true. Like that is such a bad message to have at the end when she's like, "Oh well, doesn't matter." Yeah. Larissa's put Joey's mum clearly never ventured into his room. Yeah, expensive pictures. Shaman's put Joey could afford a Mac in the 90s, Shelley. He's not short of money. Yeah, that's true.
And then maybe they've got a cleaner who goes into his room and just kind of doesn't mention it to the parents.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And Scott's just said, didn't he also keep like an old shoelace that she dropped? Like that creepy box that he had of things. That's like serial killer stuff.
And just right at the end, he does admit, like, yes, I have been stalking you for quite a long time, but I need to keep you safe. But I followed you in my car.
Yeah.
I was there. I wait for you outside work every day. I stand outside your house quite often.
I'm sure that wasn't to check she was safe. Stalker. Marzipan Pony said that was poor planning on Brett's part. So he pushed the truck into a shallow river, and the truck didn't even sink. Oh, the way Abby was making it out, it was like, oh, I had to like dive down. It was so cold. Oh dear. A lot of people saying Prom Date has a lot of deaths in, definitely.
I think that must be the one that I read with the prom queens, because it was like the prom queen getting killed off.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, there's a whole like dumpster fire, and it's very like dramatic. We read that one last year. Yeah. Melina said Brett was sinister at times, like the scratched out photo in the locker. Yeah, so he did do some sinister stuff. But
so was he was at her school then, wasn't he? He went to the same school, so would have had access.
Yeah, because he was on the swim team, wasn't he?
Yeah. Oh yeah, of course.
And Kelly's put maybe a rushed ending in this one. Definitely needed more from the reveal. Yeah. Did you feel it was quite rushed?
Yeah, especially as the little nuggets we got from Brett were just gold. I just wanted more. And especially more, the reveal. You want to hear about how they did it as well as the why. And I know it's not realistic when they get the big speech about this is exactly what I did and how it all worked, but I still want that.
Yeah, definitely. It was
Yeah,
very quick.
Yeah. I was reading on my Kindle and I was at 99%, and it was that point where I was like, have I bought half a book? Or is this really going to be as quick as I'm feeling? And it was quick.
Yeah, and it's kind of like that moment Abby wakes up in the hospital and her dad's there and he's like, everything will be okay. And I'm like, it's a little bit too late turning up now.
And that was mine as well, where he said, oh, Brett will be either in hospitals or prisons for the rest of his life. It's like, really? What's he like been charged? Like, I guess attempted murder, isn't it? But he's going to be out pretty soon. Let's face it.
And yet Joey was walking free.
No, not problematic at all. No concerns about Joey.
Kelly's put, I had a horrible feeling that the pet cat, Toast, his name was, wasn't it? That was briefly mentioned, was going to be inside the bonnet At the
Oh,
car, maybe I'm just twisted. Yeah, you never know. Like,
mm,
normally it happens in an RL's time,
yeah.
to be
Oh,
fair.
I hate when animals get brought into it.
Oh, I know,
Mm,
definitely. I'm glad that didn't happen.
yeah.
I think there was something to do with an animal death in prom
Mm,
date, with a
mm,
cat, and we was all like, "No, we don't want to read this."
yeah,
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 Kirsty said I did think she would swing the backpack with it on, so launching it through the windscreen was amazing.
yeah.
Yeah. Oh, I don't think I'm ever going to forget that. Yeah, Scott says she ate a lot of apples in the book. Yeah, I just need someone to explain like the apple muffins to me.
Yeah. I think I used to try. I went for a short phase of trying to make healthy food for my daughter,
Mm.
and you can get those little like tubs of apple baby food, which is just pureed apple, and
Oh,
you use that instead of
oh.
sugar to
Mm.
bake things, and they taste very boring, but they're very healthy.
Oh, okay. So maybe that's what it was.
Mhm.
Um, yeah, Nikki's just reminded me, one person just quick that we haven't mentioned was Cliff. So the love interest, Cliff. Like, what did you think of him? Did you like him as a love interest?
I think Cliff came out of nowhere for me because I
Mm,
think he might have been mentioned when I first started reading it, and then I put it down for a month and then picked it back up again. And I think the
mm.
first chapter was she was going on a like meeting Cliff in the car park, and I was like, who on earth is Cliff? And then yeah, he was just there for the rest of the book, and I still didn't know who he was or how they kind of got together. But
Yeah,
yeah, I mean, he was just put in as another suspect,
yeah,
wasn't he? Didn't do a
definitely.
lot apart from to get
No.
to the final scene. Um,
Mm.
did we find out why they ended up there? Because obviously she
No, I
thought, oh,
don't.
this is Cliff's special place. And
Oh
obviously,
yeah, the old burnt out meal where
yeah,
he takes all
yeah.
the girls.
But
No, I'm
then
not sure. They kind of no, that's a bit confusing. I'm not sure.
that, that could have been in Brett's soliloquy at the end. Why,
Mm,
part of his master
yeah.
plan. I know you'd been here with Cliff, so I brought you here, just to mess with your head. I don't know. Could use more detail from Brett.
Yeah. The only Cliff scene that I did kind of like was when they're in the car and Cliff I'll have to say Cliff with one S.
Oh yeah,
You can imagine him saying that as well. It's Cliff with one F.
Cliff's one.
And he kind of picks off a leaf off her jeans and kind of hands it to her, and then Abby kind of puts it in her pocket. And I thought that would be totally something that I would have done as a
Oh,
teen. Like, if
very
like the person that I fancied, because she does mention she fancies him like before they kind of get together, but that would be something that I would do. Like if someone just like hands me something and I put it in, I still do it now. I know, but do you know what I mean? I think that's kind of sweet. But then the leaf ended up in Joey's box of like serial
yeah,
killer
yeah,
trinkets, which then I was a bit like, no.
yeah. That was something I think they could have done more of. Stepped up the stalking bits and made them more kind of specific.
Mm,
Because that leaf thing's one
mm,
of the bits, and that's not from the actual villain.
yeah.
Um, but like, yeah, the stalking bits are quite generic. They were,
Mm,
if they were really specific to her, like something messing with her food or something, or
yeah.
yeah, just something to really get under her skin, that would have
Mm,
made it a haunting feeling.
yeah.
Um, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
And then the realization as well that Joey got that leaf from, like, when he's doing that creepy thing in the classroom where he's kind of like just rubbing the coat or jacket or something
yeah,
on the back of the chair. Oh, I was like, oh
yeah.
no.
He was the villain, really, wasn't
Yeah,
he? Peter
definitely.
was
Yeah.
creepier and more thought out than Brett, who's like smash a window.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Heather put, I thought the stepbrother was in love with her and wanted her to himself, which is kind
yeah,
of what you was thinking, and wrote the note so she would run to him since the parents were gone. It was
yeah.
half true. Yeah.
That's what I was
Yeah.
thinking at the start because he's too
But
nice, isn't he? And
yeah,
Heather's
no, that's
nice.
it. Narissa said, yeah, we've got to have a villain monologue.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Kelly's put the vitamin jar in this one was as good as the plot point as the flower pot in Deadly Attraction. Yeah. So in Deadly Attraction, this character gets like thrown into this plant pot, and then the car comes back and throws him up in the air and hits the plant pot again. It's hilarious. Yeah, it's definitely up there, the vitamin bottle. Eddie's video said, yes, Cliff appeared so randomly. Yeah,
Yeah,
definitely.
I guess
And
because it would have been she would have had three possible suspects, you know, Joey,
mm,
his friend, and Brett. So
yeah,
she's like, I need another guy in here.
there's another one.
Yeah.
Yeah, Eddie's put Cliff's only purpose was, what was his purpose?
Yeah.
Instead of like, I'm just Ken,
Yeah.
he's just Cliff with one F. That's what it is. I'm just Cliff with one F.
Well,
Oh,
he's the one to locate the kind of final showdown
mm,
location. You need him.
yeah.
He's a location scout.
I think he was just taking another woman there, and it
Yeah.
was just like a happy coincidence to his spot. The old burnt out meal through the bushes. Heather put Shelley me too about the leaf. Yeah, it's like something sweet. I totally would have done that. Kelly put they couldn't even be bothered to spell Cliff right, let alone develop his backstory. Nikki's put Cliff should have been pushed off a cliff, would have improved his character. Oh,
Bad for him now.
poor Cliff. Oh, and Eddie's video said he's Cliff enough. Yeah, like Ken enough, Cliff enough. Yeah. Oh dear. So overall, Tess, like, did you enjoy like revisiting a point horror, even though I told you nothing about it? You had that awful Kindle cover, that the monstrosity, which had no tagline on
Yeah.
it. Bless you.
It's probably good it didn't have the tagline because I would have been even more confused about what the book was about.
I know they didn't do the books. They re-released a few books under Open Road, I think it was, for Kindle, and some of the covers are just so bad. They're really, really bad. And even A. Bates's other one, Mother's Helper, like that was really bad. Like, the Kindle cover for that was not good. So sorry if I'm
No.
insulting anybody.
Yeah.
But you know, you've got to have good cover art, like, to capture the eye.
I liked I think the American cover that you shared.
Oh, oh
Because when you look at
yeah.
it, you're like, geez, what is that? But it suits the book.
Yeah.
It's jarring and kind of bananas and doesn't
That
really
it just looked like me in the morning when before I put my makeup on. Like,
just one big eyelid. Just
yeah,
really confused.
like when I couldn't be bothered to take my makeup off before I go
Yeah.
to bed, and it was like stuck like, in the morning. So was it good to revisit after all these years, like a crazy point horror, and literally crazy with a capital K?
I really enjoyed reading it, and then because when as a writer of YA thrillers, I find it really hard to read them now,
Mm,
without thinking, overanalyze. It's like a school text, kind of you're reading it in a more kind of critical way and trying to think, oh, what would I do? How I love that how they've done that, and just really they're overthinking it,
mm,
and which I didn't do for this because
yeah.
I was just like, this is a ride. I'm gonna go on this journey. No,
Let's go
no
on the
thoughts are
journey.
required. Let's just go with it. And yeah, it's nice. It's so different to how books are at the moment, like nowadays.
Yeah,
And
definitely.
it's all about depth now and building every
Mm,
character. And I do wonder if there is more of a place for books that are just plot
yeah.
and fun, and you can read it in one sitting and you can chat about it like this afterwards,
Yeah.
and it's just not that serious. So I'm going to read more point
Yeah.
horror again and get back into them because
That's what we like.
fun.
Yeah, but that's it. Like I always say, like when we're chatting about the point horrors, keep it tongue in cheek, but the love for point horror is there, but you've just got to appreciate them for what they were at their time, really. But I do wonder, like, because this one was quite hard to get for some people, which I didn't realise at the time when I suggested it. But I think because it was near the end of like the run, because I think in the front, let me just double check I'm right before I say. Yeah, so in the front of the book on my copy, it's got Pool Party by Linda Cargill, and that never got released as a UK point horror. So I'm thinking like this was towards the end of the run, so maybe they didn't do as many as like the 1992 or 93 releases. So
Yeah.
maybe that's why it was a little bit harder to get hold of. But yeah, it was, I just I don't remember reading it, and I definitely don't remember any of the plot. But I'm glad that we've read it. It was brilliant.
Yeah.
I loved it. I
Yeah.
just I flew through it because I was just like having such a good time with it.
Yeah. Because it was just kind of like bonkers. Like I was saying, you know, I never predicted what she was going to do next. And it was, and even just every response to a conversation,
Yeah.
and it would be, you know, like the whole Taylor thing when she's telling her something awful happened with her date, and she's like, "Oh, but
Yeah.
she got me the popcorn I like," and it's so it did just kind of, yeah. And I think there's that link between kind of comedy and horror that we kind of forget sometimes, and that
Yeah.
you be able to laugh and gasp at the same time.
And trot.
Yes, gasp, trot, and gasp. No, and laugh.
Sharon put, I really enjoyed it, the most bonkers one yet. And Nerissa's put, oh boy, are you in for some treats? I think me and Nerissa are thinking of the same point horror of The Boy Next Door that we might have to cover, because that is crazy. Raj has put, this one was a super fun read. Sharon says the US cover is unhinged. Yeah, it's quite scary.
Yeah.
Kelly said nothing has been as bonkers as Teacher's Pet for me. We read that one a couple of years ago, I think now, but it's still ingrained in our brain. So maybe that's one you could try, Tess, like Teacher's Pet, Trick or
Okay.
Treat.
There we go.
Scott's put, I liked this one. There was a lot going on, lol. Yeah. Nerissa's put, pretty sure it was second to last before the stalker, then she did Unleashed. Is that? Oh, I'm not sure. I might have missed something there. Heather's put, I read the Kindle US version and I don't remember the trotting. I wonder if it was changed. Oh, yeah, go back and have a look, Heather. Have to,
I would love
need to know.
if it was changed for the British version. Just like, I bet
Yeah.
they like this.
It's
Put
like,
some trotting in.
what's an English word for running? Trotting.
They don't hurry
Oh,
any. They trot.
no. Yeah, they don't run, they don't hurry, they don't rush, they trot. Oh gosh, you're gonna have to tell me now, Heather, whether that they did change it. Kelly's put Night School was really out there. Yeah, that was a strange one. Eddie's video said The Mall was one of the craziest for me, and Night School is Eddie's favourite. Marzipan Pony said Hit and Run, and then The Hitchhiker with the piranhas. Maybe. Yeah, that was insane. Yeah, piranhas, yeah, have to get that one. Oh, that's just insane. That is. So R.L. Stein and see, they let R.L. Stein get away with a little more, I think, than some of the other authors. But yeah, Tess, thank you for like joining us and reading this Crazy Point horror and just going along with like, yeah, I'll read it, Shelley. No problem. But
I had a lot of fun with it.
oh no, it's been really great, and I've been excited to talk to you because, as I say, I loved someone who's watching you, and I've got on my Kindle ready to go, so you wouldn't catch me dead. So I'm definitely going to be getting to that one soon. I can't wait. But do check out Tess's books because you're in for a treat. If you love point horror, they're obviously better than point horror, but if you love point horror, you'll love Tess's books. And thanks to everyone in the chat as well. They're all saying thank you.
Thank you. It's really enjoyable.
Yeah, and we'll see you again next month. Everyone in the comments. I think we're doing the babysitter next month. Oh no, that's another crazy one. Yeah.
I'm gonna have to join.
Yeah, join us.
Yeah.
Oh, thanks, Tess. I'll speak to you soon.
Thank
you.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.